The movie begins with the sniper meticulously preparing to eliminate his target, a notorious drug kingpin, at his opulent mansion. Hidden in the shadows, the sniper watches intently as the kingpin arrives with his heavily armed entourage. The kingpin confidently strides into the mansion, leaving his guards outside, and heads to a room where women are waiting for him. The sniper remains patient, waiting for the perfect moment. As the kingpin becomes distracted and vulnerable, the sniper seizes the opportunity, pulling the trigger and splitting the kingpin's head open. The sudden gunshot is followed by the terrified screams of the women in the room. In Springfield, Virginia, a different scene unfolds. A soldier stands in his bedroom, his uniform neatly laid out on the bed beside a gun. Dark thoughts cloud his mind as he looks through photos of his service in the army, searching for solace but finding none. Desperate, he tries to reach out for help, but no one answers his calls. Succumbing to his overwhelming despair, he takes his own life. His funeral is a somber affair, marked by a gun salute and attended by fellow soldiers, including Master Sergeant Brandon Beckett. As the ceremony concludes, Brandon is approached by Major Richard Miller. The Major's visit is unexpected, and Brandon senses a deeper meaning behind it. Major Miller, known for his no-nonsense attitude, comments on the tragedy of the soldier's suicide, a man once renowned for his bravery. Brandon, haunted by his own doubts, worries that he might one day share the same fate. Major Miller, attempting to console him, insists that they are merely instruments of the government, tools to be used as needed. He tries to reassure Brandon, but his words offer little comfort. Brandon, anticipating the true purpose of Major Miller's visit, preemptively declines whatever offer is forthcoming. Despite his reservations, he listens as Major Miller reveals the real reason for his visit. He explains that Brandon's recent fitness evaluation indicates he is ready for deployment. The Major proposes sending Brandon to Bogota, Colombia, to join an international task force overseen by the Department of Defense. The task force, he reveals, is run by none other than Brandon's father, Thomas Beckett. Brandon is taken aback by the offer. He has always lived in the shadow of his father's legendary reputation, and the prospect of working directly under him fills him with a mix of apprehension and determination. Major Miller, sensing Brandon's hesitation, emphasizes the importance of the mission and the unique skills Brandon brings to the table. He assures Brandon that this is a chance to make a real difference and honor the legacy of soldiers like the one they just laid to rest. Despite his initial doubts, Brandon feels a sense of duty and resolves to accept the mission. He knows that this deployment will test him in ways he has never been tested before, but it might also offer a path to redemption and purpose. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, Brandon prepares to embark on a new chapter in his life, one that will take him to the dangerous streets of Bogota and into the heart of a deadly mission led by his own father. Brandon is reluctant, but Major Miller ignores his excuses and points to a car parked nearby, telling him that his flight is already waiting. Without another word, Brandon accepts and heads to the car. Brandon arrives in Bogota, where he is driven to the task force headquarters. The driver, Walsh, muses about his role as a Marine sniper, boasting of his 63 confirmed kills. He implies that a sniper's way of combat is unimpressive, but Brandon ignores him. They soon arrive at the National Police headquarters, where Brandon is greeted by Santiago, his new spotter and Colombia's finest. Santiago takes Brandon to meet the head of the drug trafficking task force, Captain Hector Garza. To Brandon's surprise, he also comes face to face with his father, Thomas Beckett, who has come out of retirement for this mission. Captain Garza hands Brandon a file on Jesus Morales, a powerful cartel leader involved in a wide variety of crimes. Morales has been elusive, never sleeping in the same place twice and maintaining a vast network. After 10 years in hiding, Morales has resurfaced, taking out his rivals to regain control. One hit in particular has caught the eye of the task force. A sniper shot on the drug kingpin from the beginning of the movie, a shot that no ordinary sniper could make. They suspect the sniper is military or retired, and his actions could elevate Morales to the top. The task force has gathered intel on a location where they suspect Morales is hiding out and plan to apprehend him, with Brandon overseeing the operation to counter the sniper. At that moment, DEA agent Kate Estrada storms into the room, pissed that the men started the meeting without her. DEA agent Kate Estrada storms into the room, furious that the meeting started without her. She announces that she is tasked with leading the mission on Morales and informs everyone that the operation has been moved up a day to tomorrow. Brandon objects, explaining that he needs time for reconnaissance and preparation, but Kate dismisses his concerns, determined to either capture or kill Morales the next day. After the meeting, Kate and Brandon have a private conversation. Kate wants to ensure that Brandon is capable of watching her back during the mission. Brandon reassures her of his skills, and they prepare for the next day. The following morning, Brandon and Santiago, under full camouflage, scout the area, worried that the wide-open space will make it difficult to spot the sniper. Meanwhile, Kate, Captain Garza, and the rest of the tactical team arrive in full gear and set up. Back at headquarters, they receive a satellite image of Morales' home, providing real-time updates as they prepare to move in on their target. Thomas is joined by DHS agent John Sampson, who doubts the accuracy of the intel they received and is worried that agents could be harmed. Thomas's hands are tied, though, as Kate is leading the operation and has already made her decision. The tactical team nears the house and splits into different units to surround the building. Meanwhile, Brandon and Santiago scan the tree line, hoping to catch a glimpse of their target. Kate radios Brandon, confirming that the way is clear for their assault, and he tells them to proceed with caution. The different units begin to surround the house, still seeing no sign of anyone. Kate gives the go-ahead, and they all start closing in on the house from all angles. The first team enters the house, but a massive explosion rips it apart, killing multiple agents and injuring others. Garza is injured, and as Kate is about to help him, the enemy sniper takes aim and shoots him in the leg, dropping him. Brandon starts searching for the sniper while Kate makes up her mind and runs to grab Garza. The sniper takes aim again, firing a bullet that turns midair, ripping Garza's face to shreds. Santiago spots the sniper, and Brandon takes aim, almost hitting him and sending him scurrying. Santiago and Brandon rush to the scene, helping Kate to her feet. She looks around in complete shock, while Santiago reports Garza's death over the radios. The surviving members reconvene at headquarters, where Agent Sampson demands to know what went wrong. Kate notes that it was a setup, and the team suspects there may be a mole in the police force. Thomas tells them that the sniper is now a major problem, and based on his actions, he is a pro. Brandon then concludes that the sniper's actual target was Kate, and Garza just got in the way. Sampson suggests that they pull back from pursuing Morales, as it is too dangerous. However, Kate laments that all her hard work will go down the drain. Brandon asks for 48 more hours to track down both Morales and the sniper. Thomas agrees to give him the time. After the meeting, Thomas warns Brandon to keep his eyes open, as the sniper knows everything about him. Brandon wonders why his father would come out of retirement, and Thomas admits that the Marine Corps was his life and all he knew. Being a civilian was just too hard. The team moves operations to a safe house, where Brandon notes to Walsh that they are wide open to a sniper attack. Walsh, however, is confident that they will be okay. Meanwhile, a sniper nicknamed El Diablo receives a call with intel on Kate's location at the safe house, and he learns that the American sniper, Brandon, is with her. At the safe house, Brandon is looking over the file of the fallen soldier from the beginning of the movie, examining the precursors to his suicide. Kate stops by to thank him for supporting her and wanting to go after Morales. She asks him for advice on handling the loss of a comrade. He tells her to focus on the good she is doing. Kate expresses concern about the second shot that killed Garza, and Brandon agrees, noting that such a shot should have been impossible given the sniper's position. Kate is solely focused on catching Morales, but Brandon warns her that such narrow-minded focus will lead to more lives being lost. Kate angrily leaves the room but breaks down crying in the elevator, recalling the tragedy she endured that night. Brandon researches precision-guided projectiles and radios to Santiago, who is on the roof, to keep his eyes open. Kate heads to a bar where the thugs try groping her. She easily takes one down before meeting with Father Carlos, a close friend. He advises her to stop her pursuit of Morales, warning that more people will die, but Kate insists that she must take Morales down. Father Carlos then tells her the name of the sniper and is linked to Morales, promising to provide more information soon. Before leaving, he warns her to trust no one. Back at the safe house, Santiago alerts Brandon to suspicious activity, and Brandon makes his way to the roof. He prepares his rifle and follows Santiago's directions, spotting a glare in the distance, 1750 meters away. El Diablo is scoping out the building and locks onto Brandon. The two snipers line each other up, and Brandon fires first. El Diablo dodges and returns fire with a bullet that tracks Brandon, who dives for cover. El Diablo thinks he has killed Brandon, who lies as still as possible. The next day, Thomas and the team arrive at the scene and collect El Diablo's round, which turns out to be a laser-guided smart bullet. At the safe house, the team is briefed about the technology used in the bullet, which is a property of the US government. Meanwhile, at a secret mansion, Morales is playing pool with one of his underlings. When the man wins the bet, Morales calmly accepts his loss, but the atmosphere remains tense, hinting at Morales' ruthless nature. The underling collects his winnings, but Morales suddenly puts a gun to his head, accusing him of beating the boss. After a tense moment, Morales reveals he was just messing with the man. He offers him a drink and orders his second-in-command to send everything they have after Brandon. Morales then receives a call and heads to his office, only to find El Diablo waiting with a gun pointed at him. El Diablo demands his payment for Brandon's death, but Morales reveals that Brandon is still alive. Morales then bravely tells El Diablo that he is no longer needed and to leave. Meanwhile, Brandon and Kate are being moved to another CIA black site when she gets a call from Father Carlos with new information. He tells Kate about a girl that El Diablo visits regularly and gives her the address, warning her again to be careful. As they are en route, a truck suddenly slams into their car, flipping it over. Morales' men show up, guns blazing, and a fierce gunfight erupts on the street. Brandon grabs a gun and returns fire. When the smoke clears, he sees Santiago shot and killed and Kate missing. He finds the address that Father Carlos sent to her and decides to go after her. Kate, determined to follow the lead, foolishly heads to the address alone. She soon realizes, too late, that she is surrounded by Morales' men on all sides. Kate knocks on the door, and a woman answers but refuses to speak. As the gangsters approach, Kate pulls her gun, but the woman pushes her into the street. The gangsters grab and attack Kate, throwing her around. She fights back as best as she can, but she is overpowered and assaulted. Just as the men are about to have their way with her, Brandon arrives and shoots them all, killing them. One of the men jumps on a bike and escapes. Kate tries to grab another man, but El Diablo's girl holds her at gunpoint. Unbeknownst to her, Brandon has El Diablo's girl at gunpoint as well, allowing Kate to disarm her. Kate notices a locker around the woman's neck and rips it off, revealing a picture of the woman and El Diablo. Brandon immediately sends the photo to Thomas, seeking to uncover El Diablo's true identity. Thomas reveals that they were ambushed and suspects there might be a mole, deciding that he and Kate will go dark. Agent Samson objects to going dark, but Thomas is firm that it's the best strategy. Kate takes Brandon to see Father Carlos, seeking a safe hiding place. They inform Carlos about the potential mole, hoping he has some insight. Carlos explains that the mole could be anyone since Morales is well connected. Brandon and Kate decide to go after all of Morales' connections, hoping to flush out El Diablo. Though hesitant, Father Carlos agrees to help them. A few days later, Thomas receives a report from Major Miller detailing a long list of Morales' men who have been killed by a sniper. They suspect it is Brandon, and Miller notes that Brandon's kill list is becoming alarmingly extensive. Back at their hideout, Brandon and Father Carlos go for a walk in the park. As they sit together, Brandon opens up about the recent death of a Marine who took his own life and expresses his fear that he might end up the same way. Father Carlos advises Brandon that he must learn to forgive himself to avoid such a fate. Carlos reveals that he, too, has taken lives. He was a gangster in his younger years, but he managed to change. Just as Carlos transformed his life, Brandon has the chance to change his path as well. Meanwhile, El Diablo is in bed with his woman when Morales arrives, holding them at gunpoint. Morales informs El Diablo about Brandon eliminating his men and, surprisingly, offers him $5 million upfront and an additional $500,000 once Brandon is killed. The team uncovers that El Diablo's real name is Enrique, an ex-Defense Force sniper. Agent Samson once again raises his objections to Brandon and Kate being on the streets, insisting they should be put on a plane out of the country. However, Thomas and Major Miller believe Brandon is making progress and agree to give him more time. Brandon and Kate receive a message from Father Carlos, asking them to meet him at his church. They suspect something might be amiss but decide to go. As they approach the church, Brandon feels that El Diablo might be nearby. They take up a position across from the church, with Brandon setting up his rifle. Hours pass as they scan the area without seeing anything suspicious. Eventually, they notice Morales' men arriving and doing something around the church. When they leave, Kate is horrified to see Father Carlos hanging from a tree. Kate wants to rush to his aid, but Brandon warns her that El Diablo is likely watching and nearby. Brandon takes a deep breath and manages to shoot the rope holding Father Carlos, but this exposes his position. El Diablo immediately returns fire, and although Father Carlos manages to free himself, El Diablo kills him before he can escape. The next day, a massive funeral is held for Father Carlos, with Kate and Brandon in attendance. As they observe the mourners, Brandon spots one of Morales' men, who recognizes him and bolts. Brandon gives chase and manages to corner the man. The man pulls a knife, but Brandon quickly disarms him. Shaken by Father Carlos's death and fear, the man hesitates to cooperate. Brandon promises to protect him if he provides information, and the man reluctantly agrees. Kate's team arrives at Morales' hideout and apprehends him without any resistance. Kate confronts Morales about Father Carlos's murder and vows to make his life a living hell. Morales is set to be transported to the US to face trial, but Brandon worries that El Diablo will ensure he doesn't make it there alive. Meanwhile, El Diablo manages to slip into the US undetected. As Morales is placed into protective custody, El Diablo works with an accomplice in the US to arrange a car equipped with 3 laser-guided projectiles. The team prepares to transport Morales to trial, leading him out in a convoy with a bag over his head. Brandon takes up his position and reveals to Samson that the man in the hood is actually a decoy. The real Morales will be moved in a cleaning van. El Diablo, positioned for the attack, receives a text and sees the cleaning van leave. As the van comes into range, El Diablo fires, ripping the van apart. A few gangsters arrive in cars and also open fire on the van. Brandon and his team return fire, trying to draw more attention from El Diablo. El Diablo fires another shot to finish off the van, but Kate manages to lock onto his position. Brandon, though unable to see El Diablo, calms himself and fires, decapitating El Diablo. To everyone's shock, it's revealed that Morales was indeed in the convoy. Samson is stunned to find the van empty, and Brandon and the team turn on him, holding him at gunpoint. Samson confesses that they had made a deal with Morales to stop a dirty bomb from crossing the border, had supplied him with weapons, but they never intended for the weapons to be used against his own people. Out of anger, Kate punches Samson in the face. Samson is taken into custody. Thomas expresses his admiration for how Brandon and the team work together and plans to return to fishing for a while. He shares a tearful goodbye with Brandon, who walks away as Thomas watches. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch more movies like this.